So apparently, a big part of Kamala Harris's campaign has to do with price fixing. It's the idea that inflation exists because corporations are very greedy, right? So like all of the corporations on Earth, they used to be greedy. But for some reason, it was like during the pandemic that they decided to change the prices. So like all of the corporations in the world, they started colluding with each other. They started communicating with each other. And they were like, let's raise our prices all of a sudden, but not yet. Not yet. Not while everyone is locked up in their houses and they have to purchase from. No. We wait. And only after people were allowed to go back to work did the corporations were like, okay, now. And I guess it's probably because they wanted to make Kamala look bad. You know, like you have a vice president that's a woman of color. And that's when all of the big greedy corporations on Earth decided to hike up their prices in order to make the Biden administration look bad. But rest assured, because Kamala is going to be on the case. She's going to pass legislation and is going to prevent these evil companies from being greedy. So she's going to sign away certain things that she's going to just limit the prices. And she's going to decide like this amount of price is reasonable and you can't set the price on top of that. Which is pretty much like what fascism looks like, you know, like the government and the companies working together for the benefit of the people. Like that's not a free market. But apparently a lot of Americans seem to enjoy this because most people that do not bother with economics or do not care that much about politics, they think it's like, okay, so if we elect this politician, all they have to do is to sign a piece of paper and all of a sudden everything gets cheaper, right? Like this is the mentality of the people. Now, this is also due to the fact that people do not have critical thinking skills at all. And this is part and parcel of the training that American people get in the public school system. Like, we worship public education and we say, well, it's important for everyone to be educated. But you look at the people coming out of those public education systems and they do not understand even basic economics. I wonder if they even teach you how to pay your taxes in school or if they teach you how to start a business or anything like that. So it's no surprise that the public is uneducated, because if you did have critical thinking skills, you don't really need to understand what's happening with the economy and why that is a bad thing. You should just start asking a couple of questions. Like, number one, if making it so that prices go down only takes a signature from a politician, why couldn't they do this before? I mean, politicians have existed for hundreds of years, right? And if the quality of life can be guaranteed just by fixing prices, why aren't politicians doing it? I mean, it's been hundreds of years, right? Is there any other country on earth that tried to do this and do their people have better lives because of it, right? Like, this is the questions that people should ask. But like, for some reason, most people believe that we live in the now, and the things that we are coming up with now, the ideas that we are coming up with now are so forward-thinking and so advanced that no one in the past have even thought about trying them out, right? Especially when it's about the economy, like stuff that portrays the economy. I mean, human beings have tinkered with the economy for thousands of years. Like, you would think that by now we kind of know which systems work and which ones don't. And surprise, surprise, the best type of systems are the ones with the least regulations as possible, where you just allow the market to do its thing. Because like the merchant, he understands what's good for him, he understands how to do business, and he has a vested interest in his business succeeding. The government, not so much. The government just doesn't know the situation on the ground. The government moves slowly. Like if you want to see what Milton Friedman said, Milton Friedman was an advocate of free economy, and we saw this with the Miracle of Chile. The Miracle of Chile has this Marxist demagogue stepping up, and immediately he starts doing his shit with price controls and regulating the market and all of that, which leads to ample protests, the March of Empty Pots, truckers striking, paralyzing the state, socialists begin shooting people, and the United States supports a coup with General Pinochet. And General Pinochet does take out the communist government, and then he installs free markets. So what happens is called the Miracle of Chile, because like Chile begins being one of the most prosperous nations with the highest quality of living, as long as you're not a Marxist, in the area. And all the other nations around it that were socialists had the opposite happening. And one of the big reasons for this is actually the price controls. Because you see, in order to produce any type of good, there is a cost associated with it. So like, in order for you to get bread, a lot of people don't think it's like, okay, but like how did the bread come into the store? Like most people just don't know. It's almost like if the bread is sprouting from the supermarket. But in reality, like there are so many people involved in the production of that loaf of bread. And all of them require to be paid. So you have like the farmer planting the grain, and he needs to pay fuel for his tractor, which also is paid. He needs to pay for the farmhand. He needs to then pay for the processing of the grain. And there's all the people involved and the electricity required to process that grain. And then you have like the transportation that transports the processed grain to the bakery. And then the bakery also requires to pay the staff and pay for electricity and pay for all of that. And then it's another transportation all the way to the supermarket, right? So like the cost of the bread is reflected in all of the people that are required to work for it. Now, when you're the government and you say, okay, I believe that a loaf of bread should be $2. Well, the first issue that you come across is the fact that not all bread is the same. Like, for instance, some bread may have less chemicals in it, which makes it go stale faster. But because of that, the price goes up. So, like, people who want to buy the more expensive bread, maybe it tastes better, maybe it's more healthy, they will pay extra for that product. But now, because of the price fixing, a lot less people are interested in making expensive bread because they want to make a profit, right? So, like, they're going to do the cheapest bread imaginable. So what you're going to see is that from a variety of products, from different ways of making bread, now you just have like one, maybe two types of bread that are incredibly cheap to make, and they're probably pumped up with as many chemicals as possible to make it last as long as possible. So it's not as healthy, but, you know, the people producing it are still making a profit. However, the economy is constantly shifting. You know, like maybe the Democrats passed new green legislation. They're tinkering with the environmentalism, right? Because like humans cannot exist on the planet unless we pay more taxes. So now the cost of making bread goes up. Are they going to change the price fixing? Well, usually no. Because then if they change the price fixing, the people get angry, right? Because now the government is basically assuring people that, well, actually, we know the prices, so we're going to provide good prices for you, right? So, like, if the government starts tinkering with the price again, people get angry. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. So, usually what happens is that you get shortages, right? Because, like, less people are interested in making bread in the United States because now the electricity has gone up, gas prices have gone up, people that are the farmhands and the workers, like, their prices go up. So, you end up with shortages. And eventually what the government has to do is to enslave people and force them to keep producing. This is what happened in the Soviet Union. This is what happened during the Great Leap Forward. The borders get closed. People can't leave the country. And they're going to be like, no, you have to work. Like in Soviet Romania, for instance, if you were caught outside of working hours, the police would take you to a section and they would ask you, like, why aren't you working? Why don't you have a job? Right? So, like, this is the journey towards authoritarianism, and it all starts with price fixings. You can look at the history of most socialist nations that end up being shitholes, and you can see that at some point in time they decided to go with price fixings, and everything went to shit after that. Especially when it's about agriculture. Like, you can price fix in other industries, you can price fix, you know, in the entertainment industry, you can price fix even in the housing industry. You can do price fixes here and there, but when you fuck with the agriculture, that is when things go to shit, because like everyone needs food. So what will happen is either you start rationing, and the rationing can come from various forms, by the way. It can be like, oh, carbon credits or like something else. It doesn't have to be necessarily about like you're rationing the food, but the effects are the same. But rationing is something that most socialist nations eventually do. Or you can just import food and you're destroying your home economy, right? So you're basically saying, well, this food is more expensive, but because it comes from Mexico and they don't have to abide by our regulations or something like that. Still, this is something that has been tried in human history. It has failed consistently. So the fact that people are supporting this is because they lack critical thinking skills. Because the two questions that you would need to ask, and you have to ask, is like, If it's so simple to fix the economy, why haven't they done it up till now? And the second one, has this been done in human history? Has any other country, any other nation through human history attempted to fix prices, and what were the results? So that's it. That's the only two questions you gotta ask, and you gotta do research. Ask ChatGPT. Go to ChatGPT if you don't believe me, or any other search engine that you trust, and figure it out, and then see what the results are, and why this isn't very successful. So let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.